Built in Italy, tested at over 160 miles per hour, designed by one of the most respected engineers in the business, and sold by an American company best known for making station wagons. That was the AMC AMX 3. Around 6 prototypes, 0 production cars, and a cancellation that had nothing to do with whether the car worked. It worked. AMC in 1970 was not a company anyone expected to build a supercar. They were the smallest of the American automakers. No serious truck line, no luxury division, a fraction of the engineering budget that Ford or GM could deploy on a single project. What they had was a problem. Nobody walked into an AMC dealership feeling excited. They understood that, and they had a theory about how to fix it. The theory was simple. Racing wins convert to showroom traffic. If people saw AMC competing and winning against Ford and Chevrolet on a racetrack, some of them would buy an AMC on Monday morning. The Javelin had already proved this out in Trans Am racing. AMC wasn't competitive because they had money. They were competitive because they were smart about where they spent it. The AMX 33 was the next move. A mid-engine supercar that would put AMC in the same sentence as Ferrari. Not to outsell Ferrari. Not to out-engineer Ferrari. Just to be mentioned alongside them. To do it right, they went to Italy. The car was developed with input from Giotto Bizzarini, one of the engineers who developed the Ferrari 250 GTO. And the body was built by Vignale, an Italian coach builder with a long history of shaping European performance cars. The result looked nothing like anything AMC had produced before. Low, wide, aggressive. A long hood and a short tail, the kind of shape that made people stop walking. Under that body was a steel backbone chassis carrying AMC's V8. Sources vary on whether it displaced 360 or 390 cubic inches, now mounted behind the driver in a true mid-engine layout. That placement changed how the car behaved. The weight sat between the axles rather than hanging over the front wheels, which gave it handling characteristics closer to a European sports car than an American muscle car. It weighed somewhere in the range of 3,100 pounds, though figures vary across the prototypes. The tested top speed exceeded 160 miles per hour. Contemporary sources reported 0 to 60 in the low 5-second range. 6 prototypes were completed by early 1970. Some accounts put the final tally at 5, with a 6th in uncertain condition. The target price was around $10,000, which placed it well above a base Corvette and into the territory of a fully optioned one. AMC wasn't trying to build an exclusive object. They were trying to build something a serious buyer could actually consider. Then, while the prototypes were being finished, something was moving through Washington that would change the calculation entirely. The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration had been pushing for tighter safety standards throughout the late 1960s. By 1971, the direction was clear. Bumpers were going to be regulated. Specifically, a new rule would require that bumpers withstand a 5-mile-per-hour impact without damage to safety-critical components: lights, fuel systems, hood, and trunk latches. The rule was set to apply to 1973 model year cars. 5 miles per hour sounds like almost nothing, but the engineering it required was significant. Bumpers had to become heavier. They had to be mounted on energy-absorbing structures, springs, hydraulic pistons, rubber isolators that could compress on impact and return to position. And they had to protrude enough from the body to actually do that job. The soft, flush, sculpted bumpers that characterise European and Italian coach-built cars of the era were not going to pass. The AMX3's nose and tail were designed around a specific geometry. That geometry was the point. It was what made the car look the way it did. Fitting compliant bumpers to that body was not a matter of swapping parts. It meant redesigning the front and rear structures, re-engineering the attachment points, running new crash tests, and validating the result. New tooling, new development cycle, real money. AMC ran the numbers. The company was already stretched. The same financial constraints that made a halo car an attractive strategy. Low cost, high visibility made a full compliance redesign impossible to justify. a low-volume supercar generates almost no direct revenue. Its value is indirect. Brand association, press coverage, showroom pull. That value depends on the car looking the part. A compliant AMX 3 with heavy crash bumpers grafted onto that Italian nose would have undercut everything the car was supposed to communicate. AMC cancelled the AMX 3 in 1971. The prototypes were kept. Some were loaned to dealerships for display. Over the following years, they were sold off individually and dispersed. Most are accounted for today. They surface occasionally at auctions, still in the condition AMC left them. The AMX 3 was not the only casualty of this period. GM's mid-engine Corvette development program had been running in parallel and was shelved around the same time, held back by cost, corporate prioritization, and among other factors, the difficulty of meeting new safety and emissions requirements in a body not designed for them. Output figures across American muscle cars dropped sharply through the early 1970s as the regulatory environment compounded. The AMX 3 was an early and clear example of a broader pattern. Here is what the 5-mile-per-hour rule actually did to the AMX 3. It didn't make the car unsafe. The car was never unsafe. It made the car too expensive to fix. Not because the engineering problem was unsolvable, but because the fix cost more than the car could ever return. For a company with AMC's margins, that math ended the project. But there's another way to read it. The AMX 3 was never really a product. It was a signal. The plan was never to sell tens of thousands of them. The plan was to build something that existed in the world, that journalists could photograph and drive, that showed up at events looking like it belonged next to a Lamborghini. Around 6 prototypes could do that job. What the 5-mile-per-hour rule took away wasn't the car. It was the road. A car that can't be registered and driven on public roads, can't be photographed at a fuel stop or spotted at a light. It can only sit in a showroom or a museum. And a car that only sits is a different kind of object than what AMC had in mind. The prototypes exist. They're real. They run. And every one of them is exactly what AMC intended the world to see, just never where they intended the world to see it. Don't forget to subscribe to not miss anything cars and business.